President Donald Trump has signed an executive order directing federal agencies to waive and eliminate all regulations that impede economic recovery from the coronavirus. And I have Brigida Santos to talk about this story. Brigida, what can you tell me about the corporate-friendly order? This is like over the top. This is why, if we need another president, if we have to get rid of Trump, this is exactly the reason why. Lay this story out for us, okay?
Absolutely. Federal agencies have now been directed to exempt people or entities from any rules that they deem unnecessary on a temporary or permanent basis if they inhibit economic recovery. Now, Mike, early on in the pandemic, you and I covered the COVID-19 related deregulations at the EPA, but now these exemptions have been rolled out across all regulatory agencies, potentially giving corporations permission to get away with things that they wouldn't have been able to get away with before. Now, of course, people want to get back to work and daily life. We're all concerned about the economy, but throwing regulations out the door absolutely puts public health and safety at risk.
Well, you know, here's the point. I mean, out of all the stories that I've done this year so far, when I look at the story that says, okay, this is the story that makes it very clear that we have to get rid of Trump. This is the one. I got to tell you, this is the one. Because this affects consumers, it affects consumer health, it affects the environment. It has the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and Wall Street in charge of American politics. This is the reason we need to get rid of Trump. Unfortunately, the dysfunctional DNC hasn't even given us anybody to work with. I mean, this is a sweeping reason why we got to get rid of him, but the character we have that's supposed to get rid of him just isn't there. This is important stuff. And as I look at it, this seems to be getting worse by the week almost, where they're allowing Wall Street to do more and more of their ugly little things. The flying monkeys are out off of Wall Street right now, just doing everything they can to take advantage of consumers during the COVID crisis. What's your take?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely correct. Now, the problem is we want to see evidence. You know, is there evidence that these deregulations are going to boost the economy as they're claiming? Well, when it comes to social distancing rules, you know, there have been worker reductions across federal agencies. So some of the rules actually might need to be relaxed to account for those things, like removing tariffs and supply chain barriers that prevent healthcare supplies from getting to the people who need them, and allowing doctors to temporarily use their personal phones for telehealth services. But other proposed regulatory cuts require a lot more scrutiny. There is no evidence that allowing the Food and Drug Administration to relax the process for approving vaccines and treatments is going to boost the economy, especially without adequate testing and data on the safety or efficacy of such treatments. You know, it could actually do the opposite and harm the economy if more people get hurt from these things without that testing. But we do know that when regulatory agencies give free rein to corporations, we tend to see negative effects on public health and safety. The Trump administration has long pushed for sweeping deregulations.
Yeah, and we know this. Wall Street's meeting with Trump regularly. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce is meeting with Trump regularly. And they're saying, look, we want to take all the things we've accomplished in the past with Obama and Clinton and Bush, and we want to put all those great accomplishments on steroids. I would love to say that there's a huge difference between the parties and how they regard this type of deregulation issue and how they regard Wall Street, but there really isn't. And I got to tell you, this is what I do for a living. I try cases against corporate America. And both parties have been so active in taking away consumer rights. But this is over the top. This is absolutely over the top because they're saying this to Wall Street, they're saying it to the health industry, they're saying it to the environmental industry. Do what you want to do. Just do whatever you want to do, no matter how sweeping it is. Do what you want to do, and everything's going to be okay. Did I overstate that? Isn't that what this legislation really is geared towards?
No, that's exactly correct. And as you said, you know, sure, the Democrats may be a little bit better, but overall, we do have a corporate party. Both parties are the corporate party. And at the end of the day, they do tend to agree on letting corporations get away with things that harm the public.
As we look at this, the deregulations are supposed to boost economic activity and growth, okay? So where's the first thing they're going to start really deregulating? They're going to start with the environment, then they're going to go to the health arenas, then they're going to go to Wall Street. Oh, the SEC needs to really back down because it's going to interfere with the advancement of our economy. It's going to touch all of us. And the only thing we can hope for is that the Democrats show that maybe they are a little bit different from Republicans and actually step up to the plate and stop this whole thing. Brigida, thank you for joining me, okay?
Thanks, Mike.